Councilmember Vieira, we can hear you now.
Oh, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
One down, one to go.
Now we're waiting for Mayor Pro Tem to dial in.
Are we getting, Glenn, is audio going on the live stream? Okay.
We're just not saying it.
We're just quiet right now.
Right.
There he is.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor or city attorney report out of closed session. City attorney?
Yes, Mayor, City Council discussed and received information regarding one case of anticipated litigation and provided direction. There is no reportable action.
Thank you. Subsequent need items?
Mayor, there are no subsequent need items.
Approval of agenda as posted or amended?
Make the motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Embry, second by Kale.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Creighton,
Yes.
motion passes.
Consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Are there any items on the consent calendar the city council would like to remove for separate discussion or possible action at this time? Or members of the public? I'd like to pull item 2. Got a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll
motion
second it.
by Vieira, second by Kale.
Vieira,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Creighton,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item 2, consent calendar, Thompson, authorizing the sale of the promissory note related to 550 Commerce Avenue, APN 056-241-005 to Terry Rolfe and Dolores Rolfe, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take related action.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, council members. And thank you for your consideration of this item this evening.
The reason I give you some background why I pulled it, I just want to make sure as we move forward on this that the current agreement we have, did we reach out to that individual, the company that's listed here, and are we in communication with everybody on what's going on?
That's an excellent question, and thank you for bringing that up. So there are two items that are going on simultaneously at the same time, and we want to make sure that the consideration of this item is not confused one with the other. One is the performance and our noticing requirements to the borrower under a previous transaction. Previously, the council has heard and acted on the sale of a piece of property in which the buyer of the property entered into a loan agreement and a promissory note with the city as the beneficiary under that that transaction. The performance of the borrower under that particular transaction, we have continuously been in communication with them and have had regular correspondence, including the notice of delinquency and notice of non-performance under their loan agreement. We are required to do that under that process. The city has been approached during this time period of the term of the loan by an interested third party in purchasing the note, the loan agreement from them. After the action of the council tonight, we would notice the borrower. Up until this time, we have not had anything to notice them on.
So put that in a little simpler layman terms.
So once, like, let's say that you're borrowing money on your house right now and you have a loan with Bank of America or any other institutional lender. Lenders buy and sell notes and their loans all the time. And typically when you receive notice is after they've already done it in most cases. But if they were to send you a notice of their intention to sell the note on your particular residence, they would do that after they were authorized for the sale. Right now, what staff is strongly recommending to council is the sale of the note, the loan, which is the same loan before. The terms are the same for the borrower and the same for the new purchaser of the note before and after the transaction. Same.
There's nothing the city's opened itself up to, whether we communicate the last hour, last minute with this current purchaser.
Once we have action that's been approved by the council, we can then instruct, we can send an informal notice to the borrower and to the potential purchaser of the note of the related action. Up until this time, the city, and I say this again strongly, up until this point, the city has maintained and always has maintained that all of our required noticing we have performed on.
Okay.
So, Paul,
Viera,
if you
go
can
ahead.
hear me okay?
Yes.
It's very common that notes are bought and sold on almost every piece of property. So as long as it was written in the original agreement that the note can be sold, you wouldn't necessarily go to the borrower ahead of time and say, hey, just a heads up, this is what we're going to do. If we already have the authority to do it and that was correctly written into the original terms, then we would simply just send him notification stating it has been sold right around the same time that the purchaser of that note would notify them and say, hey, we've purchased your note. So it is something really, really common in borrowed money where notes are bought and sold. We just remember that you can't change any of the terms. The note is bought as is. So there's nothing negative to the buyer because we're not, the new purchaser isn't upping an interest rate. They can't change any of the terms. They have to buy it exactly as it sits right now.
That's absolutely right. What Councilmember Vieira is saying in the document of the loan agreement itself, what we have with the borrower and the promissory note, it states in there that the agreement is binding on all successors and assigns, which presumes that that we have the right, that we retain the rights to transfer or sell the note. And as Councilmember Vieira has stated, whether the name of the lender is John Jones or Jim Smith, it doesn't matter. The terms are the holder of the note at this point is almost irrelevant in the sense that the terms don't change for the borrower.
Okay. Kale?
How long have we been dealing with this piece of property in this whole loan situation and trying to, I would say, get rid of it, for lack of a better term? I guess that's what I'm saying.
So that we're clear, there's two pieces to that. We had elected to offer that piece of property for sale, and we had dealt with the terms of the sale and then that transfer, the close of escrow and that transfer for some time now. And then just most recently, John, we've been dealing with the interested party, their interest in purchasing the note and the deed of trust, or the promissory note and the loan agreement from the city as an asset. That's only been going on for a few months.
Okay. But before this, it's been over a year?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So the under the terms of the original loan agreement and the original note and secured by the deed of trust, the borrower had an obligation to bring in money as a down payment under the transaction. They had obligations of cash under the buy and sell agreement. Then they also had a responsibility for a first progress payment under that agreement, and then a second, a final payment after that. Both of these final payments, because of the note amount, were extremely substantial financial obligations, and the borrower was not able to make the first financial obligation under that note. They are currently in default under that loan.
Okay, so they're in default, and then if we approve this tonight, then we'll be done. It's somebody else's problem.
As the seller and as the beneficiary under that loan, if you approve this and it is agreed to, the terms are agreed upon on the purchaser of the note, the city steps off that merry-go-round. Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
all right, that's all I need to know.
Raymond, you have anything?
Yes. So I'm all for selling this and getting our money. But my concern that comes in is right after the budget, when we passed that, I asked that we have something come back that's saying all proceeds from the sale of real property go towards paying off the debt, which is what I campaigned on the first time and the second time. And here we are, we're right there, almost able to pay off the debt. And now we're going to be potentially collecting this $1.5 million. It could pay it off, but it would be just going to the general fund and Lord knows where else. And, you know, because it's not being looked at as our real property, it could be a note, it could be twisted. This is the concern I had. This is why I wanted to make sure that we have something in place so that we know where this money goes. And, you know, like I said, I'm all for getting our money. I'm all for selling it, but I can't in good conscience do that until I know where this money's going.
Okay, I'm going to have the finance director comment on that your concerns about protecting Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The way that the current action that is before council this evening, the way that it will be handled is if the council approves the action as written and recommended, the proceeds from the sale of this note property will go into the general fund, but it is not appropriated and it cannot be spent without council appropriation and approval. So basically it goes into the reserve and it stays there until there is further council action or authority on spending those funds. Does that help explain what will happen?
So you just said that.
A little bit. Mr. City Attorney, I guess my question for you is there a way we can maybe, you know, bring this back? Because I don't want to lose the buyer that's on the hook. Is there a way to bring this back where we have an amendment in advance with the sale of this?
There's certainly, if that's mayor and council's desire, to bring an item before council and vote as to what to do with the disposition of these proceeds. But as of right now, it goes in our reserve and it stays there and it cannot be spent or moved or transferred until further council action.
I'd like to add one.
So how soon do we anticipate having these funds in hand? And how soon after that can we get it back on the agenda? With terms coming to an end, I do want to support what Brian has said about this money being used to pay down debt. And I'd like to see that happen before my term ends, because that was a commitment that we all made as a council, that we would continue to be diligent and get our debt paid off before we started spending anything. I'm sorry, Danny, if I cut you off.
I was going to say, an item can, if it is council and mayor's is desirous, we can put an item on the next agenda before council to vote on the disposition of the proceeds.
Which would be a separate item from what we're proposing tonight. Tonight is authorizing the sale of the note. This would allow the city manager's office to execute the loan purchase agreement. One thing if I could have just some indulgence by the council that I would add, I do feel that time is of the essence on this. In the next clearly within the next 30 days, which you do have some council availability within that time. I think that everybody is aware that it could create an extremely volatile real estate market, and the value of the asset could change. It is subject to the market, and we do have, based on authorization that staff has been given, we have been in negotiations to potential with the approach that we've received from the potential purchaser, and we do have the ability to move forward with that. If the council would like to approve the sale at this point and immediately give direction at a future, as far as the spending authority of the money, at a future council hearing, we can obviously put something together, and I don't want to speak for our finance director, but we can obviously put something together. But I would recommend very strongly that time is a matter on this particular item, and that is something we'd like you to consider as part of the action.
Kale? Were you going to say something? Amber, you have anything? Raymond, you have anything else? Vieira?
No, I completely understand what Director Thompson is saying, and I agree with him. But while this is a different council, it's still the city of Atwater, and I just don't want to see the sins of the past come back because we have this carrot right in front of us. So, I agree with Director Thompson in times of the essence. So, we have another meeting this month or the first part of November. I'm more comfortable approving it with the writer stating where the money's going to be appropriated. But that's just me.
Can that be amended this evening?
So as far as specifically appropriating it, that cannot be just because that has not been agendized. But I think what you've heard clearly from the finance director is it has not been appropriated, and it will not be appropriated until council gives authorization. So it's going to be in safekeeping until then. So it'll effectively give council the same discretion and authority to still chime in on what that money should or should not be used for. And the finance director is nodding her head, so.
That is absolutely correct. So it's in safekeeping in the reserve until further council authorization.
I would like then to go ahead and make a motion to approve the sale of the note, simply because it releases so much liability from the city, providing us with a more immediate financial relief. So I'll make that motion, and then on a side note, once we approve that, I'd like to make sure that we get this on the very near agenda as soon as the money's received, so that we can look at our debt and decide what needs to be paid with it.
Okay, I want to pause right there and open it up for public comments. We have a motion on the floor, but we're going to jump over to public comment. So members of the public, do we have any speaker cards we don't have for this?
Mayor, I do not.
So any members of the public, if you'd like to come up, please come up one at a time. Keep distance. First speaker, state your name. Welcome.
All right, Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive here in Atwater, also Pastor Victory Baptist, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. I agree with Councilmember Raymond and Councilmember Vieira. This seems like a no-brainer to go ahead and get the funds to pay down the debt and to not have it be something that the city has to worry about any longer. The only question I have is, if it's in default, then obviously the prospective buyer has plans for it. As the city, are we allowed to know who the prospective buyer is, and are we allowed to know what their...
It is. It's on the agenda.
It is? I'm sorry. It is the Rolfs? I thought the Rolfs were the ones who were defaulting.
No, if you read...
They're not. Okay, so the Rolfs are the ones. Okay, thank you for explaining it.
You're welcome. Any other members of the public that come forward at this time? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment and bring it back to the council. We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vieira, a second by Kale.
Raymond?
Again, without having the appropriations in place, I have to vote no.
Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Creighton?
I support Councilman Raymond. No.
Motion passes.
Okay. Public hearing.
And with that being said,
Yeah.
Paul, can we make sure that as soon as that money is received, that we get that agendized.
Under council comments at the end,
You know,
Cindy,
oh, okay. I just want to make sure that's on the record.
yes. Please write it down so at the end, under council comments, we can get that on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you, Cindy. Item 6, public hearings, waive the first reading and introduce an ordinance approving Element 7 Atwater LLC development agreement regarding cannabis business pilot program for cannabis dispensary, distribution, and cultivation business located at 230 Commerce Avenue. Public Works Director Thompson.
Good evening again, members of the City Council, and thank you for your consideration for this item. This item was continued from the last hearing that we had, so the presentation still holds true from the last. If I am available to answer any questions with regard to this specific developer. This again is an existing facility. It is in the industrial M2 area of the city of Atwater, located along Commerce. The applicants have been extremely good and thoughtful in their negotiations with the city, and everything regarding their public benefit or improvements have already been negotiated with the city attorney's office.
Okay, let's open up to public comment at this time. Any members of the public at this time do any speaker card?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Any members of the public that come forward on this item, please come to the podium, state your name. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Council, what's your pleasure? Or do you have any questions?
Motion to approve this item is posted.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Ambrose.
Viera,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7, waiving the first reading and introducing the ordinance approving Pacific Ag LLC development agreement regarding cannabis business pilot program for the cannabis cultivation, distribution, and manufacturing business located at 1779 and 1883 Sycamore Avenue. Community Director Thompson.
Very similar to the last item. This item was a continuation of the previous hearing. One thing I wanted to make specific note of that have been a part of the published documents and that is a part of the ongoing negotiation that had occurred between the applicant and the city attorney's office is that the applicant, you'll notice specific segregation in the public benefit amount, very similar to what we have done on past development. And that's because, and what you'll start seeing more of is specific identification in the development agreement, that the applicant will be installing substantial infrastructure improvements. As any of you who have been down Sycamore Avenue have seen, that that's not a fully developed street or a place that would incubate commerce or industry of any kind. After the installation of the infrastructure by this and other businesses, we would be able to literally solicit other commercial and industrial users of those properties along Sycamore because of the installment of the infrastructure that these folks are willing to participate in.
Can you go into the elaboration on the infrastructure? What do you mean by that?
Well, right now, Sycamore Avenue is only 40 feet wide. What we will be requiring from this applicant and others is additional dedication. Along with the development of their site, not only new buildings will be built as a part of the program, but also in addition to that, you have curb, gutters, sidewalks, street lighting. You have the installation of sewer and water mains to hubs that would not otherwise be available to parcels along that street.
So just so we don't confuse potential business and residents, that these improvements they're making are needed for their project, but also anything above what's needed
Correct.
will be paid back to them by the city as development occurs beyond that location?
We're not involved in any reimbursement agreement currently with the developer.
to meet
They're
their-
putting this as an investment in Atwater, which we very much appreciate, but also what they're relying on is us identifying public benefit being the implementation of infrastructure as well as a cash payment by their business. So we, through the city attorney's office, have balanced what we receive along public benefit. It's still an agreed to amount, but that being balanced with the installation of heavy infrastructure in that particular area. We also, as a city, receive public benefit from that.
Okay, I'm just looking at the map here on my phone where it just turns in, there's no sidewalks and the road's kind of halfway rotted away. And so those things all be repaired so there's a path of travel for
Well-
pedestrians and other things?
Yeah, they're going to impact that path of travel with their own business needs. And with those impacts by development, we do recognize and we look at. In this particular case, there was a mechanism that we were allowed to use, i.e. their development agreement, to memorialize that. So what we did was, as well as participate in our cannabis program, they have been a very good participant in negotiating the implementation of those improvements. What I would encourage the council to do is to take note to when this applicant applies for their conditional use permit in the site plan will show in detail those improvements. And it's extremely noteworthy.
So this is a good example of not leapfrogging development projects. It's keeping everything, the continuity there.
Very, very much so.
So that's really important for you guys to know that as we go, we're not just willy-nilly, and their thought process is stellar on that. So, council, any questions?
Just so that we're clear, I wanted to make sure that there was a clarification, and we apologize for the typographical error. It's Pacific Ag Holdings LLC, so not just Pacific Ag. We refer to it as Pacific Ag because that's what we have known to call them.
Okay, so, okay, we'll see what, council, you have any questions or direction?
I'll make
a motion to approve. I think that it's great teamwork, and just more business, what's the word I want? More business opportunity in the future for the city.
Okay, can you read the motion,
second.
and then after Ag Holdings, Vieira, can you put Pacific Ag Holdings when you read the motion?
Mayor, open the public.
No, Janelle, can you read it for me, please?
Open the public hearing.
Okay, my bad, I skipped the public comment.
Hold on one moment, Cindy, or Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you.
This time I'd like to open up to public comment. Any members of the public come forward this time? Seeing none. Wait. Welcome, state your name.
I'm the Executive Director of Pacific Agricultural Holdings, LLC.
Welcome.
This is Cam Capana, he's the owner and CEO.
Can you guys get closer to the microphone?
Sorry, this is Cam Capana, he's the owner and CEO of Pacific Agricultural Holdings, LLC. We're excited to be in Atwater, we're excited to bring development to that area. And he came down from LA today, they're gonna be moving into Atwater and developing the house here, and I'll give him the opportunity to say something.
Welcome.
Mayor, thank you, council members, for allowing me to speak. My wife came with me.
Can you get closer?
My wife came along with me. We drove actually from Aliso Viejo, which is in Orange County. We're very excited about moving to Atwater, looking at the opportunity that we have up here. We want to make sure that as our company grows, that we employ as many Atwater citizens as we can. We're looking forward to growing with this community. We see it as we were driving up here, my wife and I both noticed how much construction is going on along the 99. And we would like to be an area where we can build more businesses along Sycamore with the development that we're going to be doing with it. So I was a former police officer in the state of Hawaii, county of Maui, in District 4. I was also in the Air Force for 8 years. So I'm pretty knowledgeable about how to work with employees. I was employed with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company for 20 years. And we're just really excited about coming up here.
So you're SP?
Excuse me, sir?
SP or LE?
Oh, none of those. I was aeronautics.
Okay. It is nice jump there. Welcome. Thank you guys both very much. Welcome. Thanks for driving up. Okay. Any other members of the public at this time? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the dais. We had a motion, didn't we?
Yeah, would you like me to read that motion? Yeah?
What?
Yes, please. Yes, please, John.
Okay. It is waiving the first reading and introducing an ordinance approving Pacific Holding Ag LLC development agreement regarding cannabis business plot program for cannabis cultivation, distribution, and manufacturing business located at 1779 and 1883 Sycamore Avenue.
Okay, so it's Pacific Ag Holdings, correct?
Oh,
Okay, can
Okay.
we get that for the record, Janelle?
Pacific Ag
Agriculture.
Agriculture Holding LLC.
All of it, yes,
Oh, got it, good.
Mouthful, but we got it. Okay. So motion by Kale. Who seconded that?
I'll second.
Okay.
Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thanks. Welcome to town, guys. Reports and presentations from staff. Item number 8, verbal update regarding City of Atwater's election and appointment of candidate Deputy City Clerk Bain. Richard?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Just wanted to provide you with a brief update about the election and its process this year within the next few coming months regarding District 2. As you may know, this ballot did not include the district election for District 2 City Council member. That was due to only having one qualified and nominated candidate for that election. And because of that, staff will be presenting to the council at the next meeting on October 26, 2020. And staff will be asking for council's action by resolution to appoint the candidate for District 2, which is Tyler Button, to serve as the District 2 council member as if he were elected, which means that Tyler Button his appointment would not be effective until the votes from November have been canvassed, certified, and until the current District 2 council member Vieira's term has expired, making the effective date December 14th, 2020, which is the first meeting in December. And that's all I have for the elections update for you. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Any questions from council? Thank you. Comments from the public?
Item number 9.
Oops. My bad. Resolution authorizing the recordation of municipal utility liens against real property for the unpaid water, wastewater, and sanitation fees and charges. Finance Director Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening, we have a continued item from the last meeting. I apologize that I wasn't in attendance. I was ill. The item for Council's consideration is staff is asking that Council adopt a resolution that would authorize the recording of municipal utility liens against real property for unpaid water, wastewater, and sanitation fees and charges. So just a little history about what has been done in the past in the current policy. Currently, the city, and I want everyone to keep in mind that should council consider this and adopt this in no way waives the rights of our citizens or constituents under the SB 998, which is the Water Shutoff Protection Act that was created by Senate Bill 998, nor does it waive or change the moratorium that the Governor Newsom currently has on us applying any delinquent charges or shutting off a service. Right now, that is not happening. So just so everybody knows, and this would not change that. This is for customers who, after long periods of time, still have unpaid charges for service. This would give the city the opportunity to record those unpaid service fees against the real property. That way, if the property owner should sell the property or change title at that time, the city would recuperate those charges. So currently, the city does utilize, utilize collection agencies as one way to recoup for unpaid water, sewer, and sanitation charges that have been provided. We do not collect in advance. It's after services are provided. And in the past, there were times after long periods of time that municipal liens had been applied. I just wanted to bring this before council. Since I've been here a short period of time, I wanted to make sure that This is a practice that council would like us to continue doing. I do recommend it as a method to recoup charges. Enterprise funds of the city, which are our water and sewer fund, there are rate structures that are put in place that are based on the rates are charged based on the number of users and how much it costs to run those systems. So how they stay solvent or sustainable is by everybody paying for their share of their rates. So when we have customers or customers that don't pay, then what happens is when the next rate study gets done, those unpaid charges a lot of times get spread back over the paying customers. So this is one way that we can assure and try to recoup the service charges for the citizens to make sure that the enterprise fund stays sustainable. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has about this item.
I'll open it to public comment at this time. Any members of the public, do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Any members of the public that come forward at this time, please state your name.
Once again, Rich Miller. I think in the last city council meeting, and maybe some of you were going to ask this, but I thought I'd go ahead and ask it since I have a chance, is what the specifics are that we're looking at as far as a time frame. How long is a person being given before this lien is being put against them? Is it a time frame? Is it a dollar figure? What are the specifics that we're looking at?
With the current climate and the COVID-19 and the governor's moratorium on the shut-off or delinquency charges, as of right now, I have no time frame, but let's fast forward and soon, hopefully there will be a time when all this has passed us. This mechanism would be the last resort, meaning that it would never be placed without a year or more of service that has been received, but there has been no attempt by the account holder we accept payment arrangements. We have payment agreements. We are, the city of Atwater is always willing to work with their customers to come up with a payment plan. So there are other options available besides just pay or yeah. So hopefully that helps answer. It would be the last step in a process of not being able to collect.
Any other members of the public that come forward at this time on this item? Seeing none, close the public comment, bring it back to dais. I have a couple of questions or clarification. You mentioned that it'd be at least a 12-month process because the city staff would do turn-ons, turn-offs, and those would occur if you're late or you're delinquent. The city doesn't go right out the very first time you're ever late for your payment on your water or utility bill. We don't turn people off the very first time they're late, right?
No.
Process.
Yeah, no. That has actually never been their procedure or process here. And then with the passage of SB 998, then that process that the Senate passed is almost what Atwater was doing, which in normal times when we don't have the COVID-19, the moratorium on late charges or turnoffs, the customers get a minimum of 90 days before we ever would even send any kind of notice to state that they need to contact us and come see us and make an arrangement. So that would be the first in normal times. Right, as of right now, we're like I said, we are following the governor's directive.
Which is even more lengthy.
Yeah, yes, and that so as of right now, since the governor put that in place, I believe it's been since April.
Yeah.
There's no late charges, no shut-offs. Obviously, people's water bills, if they're unable to pay, they just continue to accumulate. It's just we do not have those disconnection fees or late fees.
The additional fees that would go with that.
Correct.
So, then you made another comment also that say a ratepayer chooses or can't, let's just say they just struggling and they can't do it, and they run into this year period where they go through non-COVID related timeframe. They just can't, this avoids the potential that people would move into town, use services, leave, and then that's put on the ratepayers that are staying here to pay other people's bills that mismanage or something bad happened in their situation. So if the property sells, it would be a lien on the property to recoup that.
That's correct. And so at that time, if a property that the city had a lien on, we would receive a demand for payoff. And then at that time, we would state what that demand is, and it would be paid from the proceeds of the sale. So, and then the lien is gone, released.
Okay. So, council, you have any questions? Vieira, Raymond?
No, I just want to thank Director
Actually,
Hunter.
Go ahead.
yeah, I think this is actually being pretty generous by the city of Atwater. I don't know any other utility service, including PG&E, MID, AT&T, or any other utility provider that would allow you to go a year before either turning you to collections or placing some type of a lien. So on the side of the city, I think it's more than generous.
Cale?
Well, thank you, Ms. Jacob Hunter, for making that explanation. And I would agree with Councilmember Vieira that I think we've been more than generous with another. And I understand when people have come into hard times, and we understand that. And again, we all agreed here with this council to not do any of the increases or go after these during this COVID time. So,
Just have a quick question, or hopefully it's quick. So, are we going to contact homeowners who rent out their properties, and it's their renters' responsibilities to pay this utility bill? Are we going to give the homeowners notice that this is happening, that their renters are default?
Actually, this would only be if the utility account was in the property owner's name. If a owner of a property has an agreement with a tenant, and the tenant comes in and signs up for service and pays the deposit and then fails to pay, then the tenant would be turned to collections for us to collect. To my knowledge, the city does not then go back and say to the property owner, well, it's ultimately you're the underlying owner. We turn the tenant into collections, try to get them to pay for the services they received. And then if that tenant left and didn't pay, we would not stop the owner from moving in, signing up, or a new tenant coming in to sign up. That we don't hold the property hostage.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does, thank you.
Raymond, did you say something?
Oh, no, I just wanted to thank Director Jacob Hunter for working on this.
He said he just wanted to thank Director Jacob Hunter for working on this.
Okay. Council, what's your direction?
Motion to adopt resolution number 3183-20, authorizing the recordation of, recommendation here.
I'll second.
Vieira,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Creighton,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item 10, resolution authorizing the purchase of the following real property for the TCP remediation project 1 APN 156-131-053 for $150,000 from Mo Jawad. 2 APN, please, Chief.
Yeah.
APN 056-241007 from Chris Briscoe for $47,000. 3 APN 150-160-026 from the city's general fund for $233,000. 4 APN 004-010-025 from the City of Atwater's general fund for $221,500. Correct the typo there of 3 zeros. $221,500. And either APN 5, APN 156-070-030 from Parkish K. Bassi for up to $150,000, or 6 APM 004-010-010 from Atwater Elementary School District for up to $150,000, and approving the expenditure of an additional $30,000 for closing costs and related expenses, and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute related documents for such purchase. Director Thompson.
Yes, good evening again, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. First, I'd like to make a couple of clarifications in the agenda item and the resolution, the action that we're proposing tonight. Number one, the APN for 156-131-053 was originally an alternate site. It is on the proposed action in error. We are not proposing a negotiation on that piece of property at this time, so we ask that it be removed. The second thing is the APN from Chris Briscoe. That's actually Briscoe Enterprises that we'll be purchasing the property from. And then just a clarification, make sure that what we're asking for is the ability to execute the purchase and sale agreements and the right to the city manager's office to negotiate on behalf of the city. So before you, and what you will hear a little bit later as a part of the presentation that staff wants to give you on the TCP project, this next step is instrumental in securing the sites and beginning through the rest of the phase one and entering into the phase two services under that particular contract. Staff and the design team are moving extremely aggressively to meet the time expectations of the project. This would allow us to secure those properties for those purposes. And again, just some clarification. In the instance of the City of Atwater's project, we do not have enough land around the well sites themselves, so it has become necessary for us to secure additional real estate to perform the installation of the treatment sites. So that is the need that for this particular, none of these particular projects, the funding for this is coming, for the acquisition of the real estate is coming from the TCP project itself and is not a general fund funded operation.
Okay. This time I'll open up to the public for comment. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Any members of the public like to come forward on this item? Please come forward, state your name. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. No, that was for this item. Council?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution number 3188-20, authorizing the purchase of those properties
As amended.
as recommended and modified as Mr. Thompson put it.
Is that good?
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Ambrose.
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So I want to make a comment on this item that we just passed also. So the TCP item, which is the litigation we went through for a few years, we won the $60 million settlement. Staff has been doing an excellent job balancing their regular workload along with keeping this project top priority of the council and the citizens of Atwater. So thank you guys very much. This is a key part of executing this project and moving forward. So big things coming for Atwater on this. Thank you. Item 11, verbal quarterly public works update regarding city streets and parks. Council, you guys have a little packet here. You want to pull that up? Holsinger?
Oh, it's just over here.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for your attention this evening. So, really excited to give this presentation today. Where we were when I last spoke to the Council and when I last addressed the community related to the needs of our parks, we've made some changes. So, what have we done since then? We've certainly made improvements to the leadership. We've developed an organizational structure that allows for accountability and action. We've developed a way to be better resource managers and have healthier resource management. And then we've certainly gotten the support of the community and the council to move forward with our recommended actions as staff has recommended. Here's some pictures as of a week ago, last Monday, of some of our parks. I have a couple slides here of pictures to show you. There's not all the parks, but the key things that I want the council and the community to take away from these pictures is there's green. When I was when I was here back in March, none of these places were green. And I couldn't honestly tell you how long they haven't been green for, but based on the feedback I've gotten from the community, a while. So I'm really excited to be up here to present to you these green parks. Really excited to share with you. In all of these pictures, you'll see a clear line of sight. I moved from Sacramento, I moved from the City of Trees. I didn't realize how many trees the community of Atwater has, but it has been a challenge that we have worked towards to create a line of sight. And most of the brown areas that you see in a lot of these pictures are as a result of that. The not maintaining your trees, not trimming them, a lot of these areas of grass and green space have never seen the light of day. And as a result, it's taken a little bit longer for those areas to come back and green up. So when we last met, and I talked to you guys about where we were with the parks, and kind of what the issues were, I was asking for some additional funds as a result of us being over budget. In fiscal year 2018 and 2019, 53% of the budget was for labor costs or for your employment costs. 47% of that budget was for your expenses. In 2019, 2020, or last year, 60% of your budget was payroll, 40% of your budget was expenses. Currently, this fiscal year, 61% of your budget is payroll, 39% is expenditures. So what does all that mean? Percent of budget, expenditures, really means we're good at doing more with less. We've learned our lessons. We've recognized that in the past, although things may have been budgeted, they weren't utilizing those resources well, or they weren't utilizing those resources in a sustainable manner. And so as a result, we've done that. We've been able to do less with more, and we've become masters in resource organization to give you results, to give you that green open space that the community and the council wanted. Here's an example of a irrigation schedule and maintenance schedule. They do exist. We do have them. I give praise to Ken Neighbors, the Parks and Streets Supervisor, and some of last year's Parks and Streets team who worked on developing this and putting this in place. It was a challenge. It took them some time to figure out how long does it take to run a piece of equipment? How long does it take to manage these 17 parks? How long does it take to mow 80-some acres of green space? So I give a lot of credit to city staff and to the Public Works team for developing that. One of the things that the council had asked me when I presented to you the last time is, what is the difference, or what are some of the alternative options related to staff augmentation or contracted services versus staff? So this slide gives you a summation of a 2018 proposal we got for contracted services versus what you're paying with your current city staff and how that was managed previously. The long and short of this, it's a lot of numbers up there, really not important. There's an old saying that I think I've heard a few times before. This community is really good at being poor. That's what you should take away from this slide. We are really good at managing the staff and managing the resources we have to give you the green space and make the improvements that you were asking for. The other thing that I want to point out here that I think is really important is that of the options that we were presented for contract services, all of them are more expensive than what your current and previous parks budget years were. So you are getting more service with your current city staff and with my team than what you would be getting at a higher cost if you contracted services out. Certainly hasn't come without its challenges. The parks have definitely been a challenge, and COVID was no blessing. As a result of the increased upkeep and maintenance to the parks, the equipment that we have has taken a toll. Those are some of the current challenges that we're facing. There's been a lot of previous community events and things that we'd like to do for the community. And we still want to do those things. We enjoy doing those things, but there's a cost associated with it. And so as we are being good stewards of the community's money and as we are trying to be good stewards of resource management, I just want to put that on the radar, that is one of those things that is a cost that we don't necessarily always think about, or that I've learned over these last couple of months hasn't previously been thought about or hasn't been budgeted appropriately. So as we move forward and as the community and the council trust me to continue delivering results, that's absolutely something that we will budget or absolutely something we will take in mind. One of the last things for the parks that I want to talk about is some of the grant opportunities. I'm really excited to be bringing a number of grant opportunities to the community and to the council in the very near future. I listed a couple of them here. I won't get into them today, but I do promise that that is something we'll be presenting to the council and the community in the very near future. Streets. So I'm going to move through this really quickly. In this last, so we know this. We know that the budget took a hit. We know that there's been a loss in gas tax revenue, or the general fund took a hit. As a result, our Streets and Parks Department became combined. The key thing that I want you to take away from this slide is just that it gives you an overview. This is currently where you stand. The hot issues are trees, weed abatement, fire protection, and obviously potholes. One of the things that I want to point out is that we go through, on average, about 10 tons of cold mix a month, and we have done so consistently for the last 3 months. So although the potholes are a work in progress, we've definitely made strides to improve our roads and improve the community. On top of that, we've done some striping. There have been a little bit of challenges related to recruiting and onboarding, but we've been able to work with the Human Resources Department and develop a team of temporary staff who is really, really stepping up and really doing what they can to get out there, in addition to the potholes, do the striping, paint curbs, make the roads and drivable infrastructure of the city improved. One of the last things I want to talk about with streets, and what I really want to hit home more than anything, is that we are up for the challenge. We recognize, and I hear the community and I hear the council, we want a clean and safe neighborhood. We want a clean and safe park and streets to have our families here. I am all about that, and I'm absolutely dedicated to making sure that we are taking this head on, and that includes the streets. The last thing that I want to talk about is the support of the city manager's office, specifically City Manager Waterman, who has made great strides in putting together a solid leadership team that has really helped our public works team turn around. In addition to that, our deputy city manager and our human resources have really gone above and beyond to help us get the staff that we needed in the middle of a pandemic to be able to rise to this challenge and deliver to the community. Again, we are up for the challenge, and I look forward to serving the community. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, council, you have any questions? Raymond, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Vieira?
No, I do not at this time. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Kale?
I just want to say that I appreciate all the hard work you guys have been doing on getting the parks. I have a tendency to get still a lot of questions about what we're doing, and I urge you guys to continue your progressive work on doing and keeping these things. I have to agree with you, they look a lot greener. And it's not because we got rain.
Right.
Even though we've been praying for it. But it is an improvement, and we'll try to get back to you more with, I'll try to get back to you more with some of the complaints that I've gotten. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anne Reed, you have any?
Just thank you for the presentation, and keep up the work.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also want to say the part-timers and the full-timers, there is a big difference. It's getting better. It's not perfect, but the comment of the heads up, antenna up, paying attention, looking around, it's important they're cognizant of what they're doing, and it's starting to show that not to just blow through a project to do a project, but to do it and touch things once and make it for the better. So much better job. Both of you guys, your management's making a difference out there. And the attitude of those employees are starting to show. Tonight we were out here, a couple of council members and I were walking in, and we've seen the difference out here. Just with the attention to detail, it makes a big difference. The edging and the care and the cleanliness. Because if we see it, the residents see it, and it carries a lot. We have visitors from out of town that just purchase stuff here in town, so we are on the map, and we're moving forward, and you guys are helping do it in a positive way, so thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity, and they really are. The team at Public Works really has stepped up, and I'm proud to stand up here and talk about them. And yes, I'll give myself credit, but I absolutely give them credit as well. That we appreciate the council and the community's time and patience with us as we work through some of these kinks and we address some of these challenges head on. And we appreciate the continued support as we keep. You're right. It's not perfect. Still work to do, but that's kind of the point of the presentation, that we will continuously have work to do, and it is our responsibility and duty to come up here and demonstrate that to the community. So thank you.
I'm really proud of you guys empowering them, and it's starting to show. So thank you.
Thank you.
City manager updates. Item 12, monthly verbal update regarding City of Atwater 123 TCP remediation project.
Mayor and City Council, since your last update, activities include City Council certified environmental document, authorized Phase 1, which is a progressive design build contract. A purchase order was issued for the vessel procurement. A kickoff meeting was held on September 22nd, and proposed treatment sites were inspected. Treatment site selection has been completed. Surveying has commenced. Coordination with regional utilities providers. Project contractor has reached 30% design criteria. Tonight's action authorized the real property acquisition. Staff is coordinating TCP project activities with other funded projects throughout the city. And there's every indication that the project will meet completion deadlines. Support staff is happy to answer any questions the council may have regarding the project.
Okay. Council, you have any questions? Vieira?
I do not, Paul. Thank you.
Raymond?
No, sir.
Ambrose?
And at this time.
Kale?
I just want to say that you guys have all been doing a great job on getting this. We all want to see this done as soon as possible. I had the pleasure of being able to go out there and talk with the people who are actually going to do the work. And I was very pleased with their responses of trying to get this out there really done so we can get this water cleaned up as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you, City Manager. Notice to the public, comments from the public?
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and or placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor, I have one speaker card for Richard Johnson.
Welcome.
Yeah, Richard Johnson, 1675 Drakely Avenue. The site of, right there, our home is where we're protesting the city and the bullshit they've done to us the past 6 years. Straight out criminal. Everything you've done is criminal. And I'm exercising my First Amendment right now, just to let you know. You guys talk about the water. 4 years you guys had our water cut off. 4 freaking years. You don't even know the damage you did to my wife. We raised 4 great kids. We bought in this community. We moved here from Atwater, and you guys, we invested in this city, and you guys treated us like nothing. That's so freaking wrong what you did to us. And you guys, you guys know damn well we didn't owe a damn dime on what back, especially $8,000 past due water bill. That was bullshit. We never owed a dime. And Ambrose, you don't ever stand up and say nothing. All these crimes that are being committed, and the civil rights and all the civil rights crimes you guys committed while we're speaking, threw me out, took me to jail. How many times I went to jail standing right here doing nothing, just speaking. You guys took me to jail all night long, made me stay there all night long, and you guys charged me with 8 false charges. We beat every false charge in court. And you expect me to be just nice and accept all this? You destroyed our lives. You're still destroying our lives right now. And you think it's a game. What my wife's been through is not a game. Let's see any of your wives go through this. Let's see you carry buckets of water, 5-gallon buckets of water every day for 4 freaking years. Let me see anybody do that, and then see how you feel after just 1 week of it. That was for cleaning, watering our dogs, bathing. Here's the speech my wife wrote for me. I'm so freaking upset right now, man. You guys think it's all a game. That's our property. I'm here tonight to tell you that this has gone on for far too long. It seems like many lifetimes have gone by. I've lost my brother, my mother. My brother-in-law survived a coma. 3 more grandchildren of ours were born. Our son was promoted several times. Our youngest daughter joined the Navy. It's already been a lifetime since we've seen her. All these things have been...
All right.
That's it?
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Any other members? The public, please come forward, state your name.
Lori Johnson. Okay. Which of you would not be upset at this point? 5 years is patience, and patience is rewarded. So far, we haven't been rewarded. We will prevail. Do your job, make a decision to do the right thing. Protect your residents and don't let this hell that we are going through happen to anyone else. Just say the buck stops here. What can we do to make the Johnsons whole again? Where is the integrity? We have been targeted. You have allowed the press to personally attack us. Your own attorney lied under oath at the hearing, as well as a local pastor who went as far as to involve his young daughter. I'm surprised the headlines didn't read, "Johnsons make pastor's little girl cry." This is how demented this crap is getting. It's what we have been through and are still going through is nothing short of hell. I get up here and speak, showing strength, but let me tell you this, it takes every bit of my mental strength to get up here in front of all of you, just the two of us. It's nothing short of confronting a vicious gang, and you guys are a very vicious gang, because I'm living through hell. Every single day I wake up wanting the city to do the right thing, just make us whole again. That's all I want. That's all either one of us want. We don't want to be up here talking crap about you guys every week or every 2 weeks. We don't want to personally attack you. I don't personally attack anybody. I'm just begging for my life back because I've missed so much because of all the stuff that I've been through. And a real David and Goliath story. We all know how that story ends. The Johnsons will prevail. If not, I don't care if we're living homeless on the streets. We'll live homeless on the streets here in Atwater, and we will come up to this podium every 2 weeks, and we will speak until you guys make us whole again. And it's not gonna stop. And you lied under oath. You lied under oath, and I don't accept that. I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think these people up here should think it's acceptable. I think everybody should take a step back and look at what's going on here. I don't get upset. I am a very passive person. All of you guys know this. Look at me right now. I am so at my wit's end, but you know what? What happens to me when I'm at my wit's end? I get smarter, and I catch every single thing that everybody does, because God shows me, because I'm starting to lose faith, but I didn't lose faith, so he rewards me, and he shows me something underhanded that you guys do. So I noticed some things that you guys were talking about at the beginning of the meeting, and I've got it. I've got it. You guys gave me the best clue. So thank you very much. And we'll be back every 2 weeks. I don't care where we're living. If we're living on the street, we'll be here.
Thank you. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Mr. Johnson, out.
Have a good day.
Out. Any other members of the public that come forward at this time? Welcome. State your name.
Daniel Perez, 2383 Redwood Avenue. Just want to comment on the parks and stuff. I'm a new foster dad. I've been doing it since March, and I have anywhere from 2.5 to 2 days old, and my wife is forcing us to go family time, which we all should do. And she's a stay-at-home mom, and I just work all the time, and that's what I want to do, of course. Anyways, so never before in my life have I been proudful of my community. In the parks particularly, I've been playing football out in all the parks. You get stickers, the grass rips you up and tears you up, and now my wife just went with my mother-in-law about 2 or 3 days ago, took pictures, was clean, safe, and as beautiful as can be. Thank you. On other words of children, I was driving through Atwater again, coming back from Turlock on a Saturday, and I noticed there where the railroad tracks are at off of Atwater Boulevard when you're coming in, I did see a small girl there once again, and I know to address it immediately. I did forget, my apologies, to call the police. I know you were very adamant about that, and so was the chief to take care of it as soon as they saw it. So just if we could get into that, please. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Bring it back to council comments. Council matters. Ambries?
Once again, welcome to Atwater. I hope this doesn't change your mind at all. First off, I would just like to clarify something. Some of the things that were just said, especially pointed towards me, that was before my time on the council. So like you that are out in the audience and watching on YouTube and Facebook, that's how I saw everything. I wasn't up here on the dais. I wasn't throwing anyone out. I'm not here to ruin anyone's life. I'm here to help improve our city. I'm here to make sure that Atwater stays financially responsible, the parks are green and kept up, and that when my son and daughter are old enough that they can raise their families here. Again, I am not here to poke families with sticks, throw rocks through their glass doors, or anything like that. I'm here just to do what the residents want us to do, and that's make Atwater as great as possible. I'd like to welcome back Chief Slate and your crew. Thank you for everything that you do, not only for Atwater, but for the state of California. Thank you to all the staff. You guys are doing a wonderful job. It's showing. Proud of you guys. With that said, you guys have a good night.
Thank you. Raymond?
Really the main thing for me going forward here is I want to make sure that we have something on the next agenda regarding the monies that the city's going to be receiving from the sale of the notes. That way we can appropriate those funds ahead of time before they even come in. And Mayor, I sent you a note regarding something for your final comments as well. But that's all I have.
Okay, Finance Director nodded her head yes on the request. Vieira?
Thank you.
That was for you, Kelly. She gave you a thumbs up, Brian. Vieira?
Yes, I just was, Brian actually made my comment about getting that on the agenda. I think that's really important. I just want our city manager, Lori Waterman, to know that she remains in our thoughts and prayers. And we hope that daily she starts to recover and find her strength and find her way back home to City Hall. I also want to commend Gina on a job well done. I think it was about 3 months ago, we all became Facebook famous for Gina's $87,000 a year raise, which we really found out was about $35 a month, and received a lot of ridicule about why we needed to have someone in case something happened. But I think this council has always been diligent since my time, looking forward, trying to protect the city, learning from the past, learning from our history. And I think that was just another good step in securing our welfare to make sure that we're in good hands in case something happens. So number one, Lori, please know you continue to be in our thoughts and prayers. And Gina, job well done. Your $34.60 is definitely being well earned right now. Your communication has been outstanding, and you have definitely risen to the occasion. I'm very proud of you. And to everybody else in the city who's kind of picking up a little slack here and there to cover for one of our family members that is out. Just blessings and goodwill to all of you. It's almost like with Lori being out, we're missing a piece of our family, but I'm sure she'll be back soon. That's all I have.
Thank you. Kale?
Again, I want to say a lot of same things Danny said. Welcome back, John, Chief, and you guys also. Like Danny said, I wasn't here when all of this occurred. Also, it's sad and I believe sometimes even disrespectful. It's sad when a young lady has to get out of the room when others speak. She feels the need to leave and when other people speak, and that is really sad. I'm proud of our council. Since I got here 2 years ago on this council, there was all kinds of, I don't know how to say it, but disarray amongst the council, and I'm very proud of the cohesive group that we have. We don't always agree with each other, but afterwards, we don't hold it against each other either. And I sure hope that continues to be the fact. And the other thing I want to say is there's a lot of people, or a couple of people anyway, that contacted me and said, we got to get control of these homeless people. That is a very difficult job. We're bound by laws. We're bound by their rights. And if they leave a shopping cart in a park, we can't just pick the shopping cart up. The code enforcement guy comes over, he has to cite that cart if it's here for more than 24 hours. It can be in that place for 24 hours. We can't just run and go grab it and take it back to Shamart. We can't do that. So we're constantly trying to get ahead of those, the homeless people, but they're very smart, and they know what they're supposed to do. And I used to refer to as, they have lunchroom lawyers. They know and tell everybody how to get around the system. So we're trying to make Atwater a safer and better place. I think the police were doing that, our code enforcement guy. And then my last remark is my thoughts and prayers go out to our city manager. And so we're thinking about you, Lori.
Thank you. A couple of comments. The Johnsons tonight, you saw them both speak tonight. They were very upset. Some of the initial thoughts and feelings may be to be angry with them. They're frustrated. They're confused. As Amber said, those issues began before we got here. I know there's at least 3 members of the public here today that have donated money, resources, time, loving, giving energy to these people. This community still will give and still will always be caring. We're not a mean community. They do have frustrations. They're trying to channel those out, and we're on the receiving end of that. But at the end of the day, bear with them. It's their right to say what they have to say, and it's their right to come to the podium and express their beliefs. And it's the frustration that happened to them and what happened in their life. But I know that members of this audience today have given quite a bit, and I want to say thank you to each one of you guys that have done that, and you've given quite a bit. And people will continue to help and give to them. So our prayers are with you tonight. We see you're frustrated, but please remember that this is a kind and loving community, so there's no hate here. Fire, great job. I saw you on TV twice. You were cruising in the red truck, and I was so proud of you guys because you were the guy in charge of the whole team out there. And it was nice to see Atwater on national coverage with the truck that we built when we decided to do those trucks when your predecessors were here. And the command in the back of that pickup truck, he can run his whole operation. There's a topo map in the back of the room that the fire chief could pull up to a scene and have command of a fire scene with this truck and know where the assets and the personnel are at is just remarkable. And I'm really proud of you guys. That was pretty cool to see on national news. And I'm glad you guys all made it back safe. So thank you very much. Chief, you guys are doing a great job. Atwater PD, we love you, and the community is very, very proud of what you guys are doing, and we're a pro law enforcement community. Welcome to town. You won't find a community that loves the police more than we do here, so very grateful for all that. Lori, if you're watching, or we miss you, so. And Lori's also helping Gina in the shadows. You don't know it, but they're communicating and working together. So Lori is working, and it's nice to hear that and get updates on that. So we miss you. We love you. Also, great things are happening in Atwater. Recreation. you're hearing reports on the news about how bad the COVID hit was for California. We anticipated pretty heavy. We were in the 20 percentile range. I think we're coming in around the 4% mark because Atwater cares. We spent our money locally, and we did all the right things with staff and everything else. So you guys are doing a fabulous job, and I think at the end of the day, we're going to be shining pretty good over here. And if you're investing, your money's well spent here in Atwater. So again, thank you everybody, and let's have a good night, and God bless you. Meeting adjourned.